Right then, apprentices, let's get cracking. Today we're talking about building things the smart way, not the hard way. This is all about getting it right from the very first brick instead of playing some high-stakes guessing game.
So, here's the game plan. We'll kick off with a massive problem that could cost you a fortune. Then we'll look at a really clever solution, see how it works in the real world, and wrap it all up with a question that's just for you lot. Ready? Let's go.
Okay, first things first, I want you to picture this. You're on site, boots are muddy, hard hats on. You are in charge of a massive new construction project. You've got the plans, you've got the crew, and you've got millions, maybe 100 million quid on the line. What's the one thing that could make it all go completely belly up?
Yeah, that. It is a proper nightmare scenario, isn't it? All that time, all that concrete, all that money, just gone pear-shaped because you built something nobody actually wants. You basically paid to create a ghost town. Ouch.
And that's the classic way of doing things. The old school high-stakes gamble. You spend years and a fortune building the entire estate, the whole shebang, and only at the very, very end do you find out if you got it right. It's a massive bet that keeps developers and project managers awake at night. I can tell you that for free.
But listen, don't get your knickers in a twist. There is a much, much cleverer way to do this. And it's an idea we've pinched from the world of software development, a bit of agile thinking. It's called the minimum viable product, or as we'll call it, the MVP.
Now this is absolutely crucial. An MVP is not about building a cheap and nasty version of the final thing, right? It's not a half-finished house with no roof on it, no. It's more like a perfectly built show home that lets you learn what your customers really want. It's the smallest possible thing you can build to start learning. That's it.
And this is exactly why it's so blooming powerful. It is all about getting real answers from real people really fast. You get to find out up front, does this idea actually work? Are we solving the right problem for people? And you do it all with hard data, not just guesswork from some bloke in an office. Okay, theory's one thing, but let's make this crystal clear with a real-world story. Let me introduce you to Green Homes Ltd. They're a property developer with a brilliant idea for a new housing complex, but they were also very cautious. They did not want to make that £100 million gamble.
So, what did they do? Well, instead of just breaking ground on the whole estate, they followed these 4 dead simple steps. First, they figured out their main goal, find out what people actually value in a new home. Then they scoped out their MVP, just a small taster of the real thing. After that, they launched it, opened the doors, and got actual people in to have a proper look around. And finally, the most important bit, they listened, they learned from all that feedback, and they adapted their master plan. Proper smart.
So what did this MVP actually look like? Well, it wasn't the final estate, obviously, but it was just enough to test their biggest assumptions. They built 2 model homes to test a huge question. Did people want open-plan living or a more traditional layout? They put in a small garden and a playground to see what community features people would actually use. It was a real, tangible thing that people could see, touch, and give honest feedback on.
And this, my friends, is where it gets really interesting. They opened the doors, they invited the public in, and they just listened. And what they heard completely changed the game. It saved them from making some absolutely massive and very costly mistakes. Just look at the difference here. It's incredible. On the left, you've got their original guesses. They thought price was king, but what they found out was that people were actually happy to pay more for eco-friendly features. They planned a massive playground, but it turned out everyone was raving about the little community garden. This cheapest chips test saved them millions in rework and helped them build something people were literally queuing up to buy.
Now, the MVP is a brilliant tool, no doubt about it, but it's not the only one in the box. See, it's part of a whole family of agile ideas, and it's got a few mates you really should know about if you want to sound like a proper pro on site.
Let's break this down nice and simple. Your MVP, as we know, is all about learning. It answers the question, is this idea any good? Next up is the MMF, the minimum marketable feature. That's all about selling. It's the first thing you can actually stick a price tag on. Then you've got the MEA, which is focused on saving money and efficiency gain. And finally, the MRF, the minimum releasable feature. That's the smallest, safest improvement you can get out the door. A quick, simple win. 4 different tools for 4 different jobs. Easy peasy.
And listen, this whole test, learn, adapt mindset, it's not just for construction. It is an absolute game changer right across the board. Whether you're building houses, cars, software, you name it.
At the end of the day, the core principle is dead simple and it works everywhere.
Test your big ideas on a small scale before you bet the farm and go all in. That's it. It's that simple.
So think about it this way. If you're in manufacturing, you test a new production line process with just one team before you change the whole factory. In engineering, you release one new feature to a handful of users to see if it's actually useful. Building a new traffic system, pilot it on one roundabout, not the entire M25. You test, you learn, you adapt. Bob's your uncle.
Right then, we're on the home stretch. Let's bring all this home, because this isn't just theory, is it? This is something you can actually start using on your projects tomorrow.
If you only remember one thing from all this, make it this. Stop guessing and start testing. By starting small and learning from real feedback, you save a load of time, you slash waste, and most importantly, you end up building what people actually want and are happy to pay for. It's just common sense when you think about it.
So I'm going to leave you with that thought. Forget about building the whole cathedral for a moment. On whatever project you're working on next, what is the one tiny experiment you can run to prove you're on the right track? What is the smallest, simplest thing you can do to test your biggest assumption? What's your first break? Have a good think on that. Cheers.